Hello and welcome to the third episode of my personal podcast. I don't really know what I'm going to call this podcast yet. I was thinking maybe calling it something like recurring guests because I might have a rotating I was thinking of having a rotating cast of co-hosts or something along those lines. But again, I have no idea. So if you have an idea, let me know. Anyway, in this episode, I'm talking to my childhood friend, Jess, who I've been friends with since elementary school. We've been going back a long time. He's also the companion of mine in the Hawaii vlogs on our main channel, Adventure Archives. If you haven't seen those, go check those out. But they tell a story of when me and him traveled there 4 years ago and just had a grand old time. So this is Jess, and it's funny because as we got older, I feel like our interests diverged more and more, but we've still remained like really good friends in the sense that I feel like whenever we meet up, we can just have a conversation that flows super naturally and just talk about anything. And that's kind of how this podcast goes. I do want to give some fair warning to all the people out there that this is definitely more of a PG-13 podcast, less of a PG podcast. And again, like this might just be the case for my podcast moving forward, is that the topics we talk about might be a little bit more adult in nature, the humor a little bit more juvenile, and the language as well. So I just want you to be aware of that before you get in. Please don't leave me angry comments because I did warn you. But with that being said, let's get into the podcast, and I hope you enjoy this. Have a good one.
Do you do like a bop, bop, bop kind of thing?
I do.
Bop, bop, bop.
Yeah, and then I see the spikes in each audio file.
Oh, so that's the secret then.
Yeah.
Shit, I'm getting behind the scenes techniques here.
Yeah, now you can start your own podcast.
Oh, kick ass. What would it even be about, if anything?
You tell me.
I feel like it would just be two guys talking to each other about whatever came up. And it would be called Meandering Discourse.
That's not a bad name, actually. I listened to a podcast called Tangentially Speaking. Which is the same as what you just said almost.
Okay, yeah. Prettier words. They have prettier words.
I don't know, meandering discourse, that brings to mind streams and...
Oh, streams?
Meandering streams.
Oh, yeah, like the ones down there. Yeah.
Anyway. Okay, yeah, so how's the apocalypse been treating you?
Me personally, I have been working at home because programming, you can pretty much do that anywhere. Just jack in,
I know a lot of people who are taking up coding and stuff, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. There are a lot of those coding camps.
Yeah.
Where you can just sort of, I think it's a couple weeks or a couple months course.
No, yeah, actually my friend Jason literally just was going through coding boot camp.
Yeah. Oh, is that the
Jason
I met that one time? Okay. I don't know.
Thank you for phrasing it that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, no. So it's been going well. Do you like working from home or?
No. Let me tell you. So it has pros and cons, as with all things.
Are you at your computer in your underwear?
The professional IT department, we wear pajamas. No, so I guess what was different for me is when I'd go into the office, I would just kind of be chained at my desk, crank.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm I can actually take a break, and not feel, guilty about it,
Yeah.
So that part's been kind of nice. Hey, we called you, it's Saturday, where could you possibly be aspect to it kind of sucks.
Oh, so now there's an expectation that you just work whenever because
kind
you're
of,
from home?
Yeah. So, because, I mean...
That's interesting because it's you get more and less of an escape at the same time. Like,
Yeah, like I would usually leave work at like 6:30 usually, because everybody else was there, right? So, but lately I've been able to be like, you know what, I'm gonna clock out at 5 like normal. It's kind of been nice.
that's good. Yeah.
So I don't know, sanity wise, 50-50 I think. How about you?
Oh, I mean, I do video, so I've been busy with like non-video related stuff too, but the main thing is yeah, I don't know. I can't complain. Like, I'm lucky enough to be able to do work from home.
Do you notice any difference?
Well, actually, the main thing is just we have had to think about how we're going to record together. Because, like, so
Yeah.
you probably saw this, but we did a trip where we all went separately.
Yeah, the solo hikes.
But most recently, we were just like, screw it. And we were kind of careful for like a week or so. We still took 2 cars. That was partly to separate ourselves, but also because Thomas brought his dog, so we needed more room. But yeah, no, I mean, that I feel like maybe I'm being a little too lax, but I feel like when you're in open air, it's like way safer just because like I saw a video where they like sprayed something and shined a UV light, and when there's open air, it's like way less of it gets on someone. So
Okay.
I think there's an element of that making it like a lot safer, but yeah, I don't know. It's still weird because it's like there's a lot of places we would like to travel and film, but we can't really do anything that isn't involving like a car. Like we had big plans for like another big trip this year maybe, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And you can't exclusively say those places here.
Yeah.
You can't.
Wait, what?
You can't say the locations.
Oh, I can.
Yeah.
The ones that I was thinking of going to, or
Yeah.
well, we were originally hoping to go to Iceland.
Really? That'd be fucking kick-ass, man.
Yeah, there were no like
oh, wait,
concrete.
can I cuss on this?
You can cuss, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Shit. So as far as as far as the rules for the podcast, the things I avoid are like explicit politics
Okay.
and probably I don't know. That's probably it.
Okay. So we can talk about sex, drugs, rock and roll.
We'll see.
Okay. We'll edit this out.
Think of it as like
Light.
PG-13.
Okay.
Yeah.
More PG, less 13, or more 13, less PG?
I feel like that's a sliding scale.
Okay. Okay.
It's also, I mean, whatever you're comfortable with sharing, but
Okay. Do we want to do a therapy session? Is there like a segment therapy corner?
there could be. Maybe we should do that.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. Do you want?
No, you got to stay distant.
Do you want to be therapized first, or should I?
Or are you about to like lie on the couch?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, but now that I think about it, this ziggurat here is probably not very comfortable.
Let's get to therapy if we get there.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Tell me about your mom.
Okay, so Iceland.
Yeah, tell me about the volcanoes.
Actually, that was pretty much it. We just thought about going there.
Is that how it normally happens? Give me
Yeah.
a peel behind the scenes.
No, honestly, like we are the worst people at planning stuff.
Yeah.
Like, so Dolly Sods is literally a place that doesn't require a permit or a parking pass or anything like that or fees. You just show up and get there. And we still had a hiccup on this trip because we planned a route that started at a trailhead, and it turned out that trailhead didn't have overnight parking for whatever reason.
Okay.
So then we had to like change our plans last minute, but it was no big deal. But when it comes to bigger trips, it's like usually we have to like really force ourselves to make sure we're planning stuff out. But,
Japan, Germany, China.
yeah. Actually, the biggest thing, I don't know about you, but I've been getting like the travel bug for some sort of a road trip or something like that.
Yeah.
Just because like the fun of like going from one place to the next, like on a continuous journey is super nice.
Was the last road trip you and Thomas back from Cali?
Yes. Yeah. Well, actually, no. Technically, I did go on a really brief one with Thomas to Texas. That was, God, when was that? What is time anymore?
It's a conundrum.
I think that was, I think it was almost like a year now. But
Wow.
we went through like Hot Springs National Park, which I don't know if you've been there, but it's not nearly as cool as it sounds.
No,
I mean, it's worth checking out, but it's like,
it's not Yellowstone.
No, so it's like these hot springs, but they back in like the 20s or something, they like built like spas there and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's cool, but it's just like a town basically. It's not even. It's more historical than natural, which is fine. I feel like with the name like Hot Springs, I would expect like wild springs.
That wasn't where.
No, that I can tell that story.
You can.
Yeah. So.
After dark.
Yeah, for people who don't know, so that was actually on a brief road trip around California. Like, not a huge one, but it was like before the big road trip. Because I was out there, I think 2 weeks earlier, and then Robbie and Brian flew out, Robbie and Brian flew out, and then we went on the big one. But Thomas took us on a trip to like San Fran and then to Tahoe. And then on the way back down, we found this natural hot spring called Wild Willie's Hot Springs. Maybe I shouldn't say that though. Well, no one watches this channel. I don't want like cool places to get too exposed.
Oh,
because Dolly Sods was actually like really crowded now, and I don't know if that has to do with YouTube or not. But
the archive bump.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a thing. I bet it's a thing.
Yeah, I didn't think we were big enough for anything like that. But anyway,
I mean, what do you got? You're 100 something.
Now we're
right?
140. Yeah.
Jesus, so that is kind of like exponential then, huh?
Yeah. Once we hit 100,000, it grew so much. Like, it took us so long to get to 40,000, and then to get from that to 100,000. But once we hit that, it just like took off.
Shit. So it's kind of like more momentum kind of continues. Yeah. Nice.
Definitely.
And just for me, that was like 5 years.
We launched it 6 years ago.
6 years.
But technically started filming 7 years ago.
Damn.
And actually, I mean, part of it is just like look, like some of these viral videos, for whatever reason, not viral, but like some of them for some reason just got a lot of views. Actually, one of Robbie's now has hit 1 million.
I saw that actually. Yeah.
Yeah, which is
like,
crazy.
Oh my god.
I never thought
it was his hiking alone one, right?
Yeah. I thought Yosemite for sure would have been our first video to hit that because that had a huge spike. But
what does it feel like knowing that 1 million people have seen one thing that you've done?
I don't think about it that much. What I will say is sometimes when I'm looking through some of the older episodes that I'm like more proud of, because some of them it's like they're still cool, but some of them it's like I'm really proud of this one that we worked on and like what we were lucky enough to capture and how we were able to edit it. And so I think the biggest thing is just like, wow, I'm glad like this many people have at least been able to see this work. Because at least like it's getting some sort of appreciation,
Yeah.
But yeah, at the same time, like it's not like I'm like rolling in dough or like super famous or anything. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know, because to me that 1 million is a number I have a hard time visualizing.
Yeah, once you get, there was like a meme I saw that was comparing 1 million to 1 billion, and it was like 1 million inches is like, don't quote me on this, but it was like 15 miles or something.
Damn.
And then 1 billion inches would be like to fly from here to like Hong Kong and back.
Oh. Shit.
Yeah, so it's like,
it's
we think of 1 million and 1 billion being like kind of similar-ish.
Sure, yeah.
But it's just like astronomically different.
I don't know. That's just very impressive to me. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's like for the internet scale, it's still like medium, But that's another thing is
But you compare yourself against yourself, right? You
don't
compare yourself against other people.
For the longest time, it was kind of like there were moments where we would though, like, because when you first start out, it is kind of a struggle to like get it to a place where it's sustainable, and then you'll see like other people who get a video that goes viral or something, and you're like, dang, like what am I doing wrong? Now that we're here, it is really nice to just be able to like feel good about that and not have to have that feeling. And I don't have any desire to like get it super big or anything. I won't complain if it does, but like,
you're like, oh, it's too big.
Yeah.
That's a problem I have.
Yeah.
So, dick jokes are okay?
I guess they're okay now.
Okay. We'll just
well, actually, speaking of which,
snip.
the hot spring story.
Oh, right. See, this is the meandering part.
So really quick. I mean, wait, I told you this, right?
You did. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah. So me and Thomas were at this natural hot spring, though. I only bring this up because we started it, and now I want to finish it.
Sure. Yeah. Complete.
So we're in this hot spring together, and for whatever reason, like, okay, so we're on the boardwalk to the hot spring carrying our cameras, and this woman sees us, and then we get in the hot springs, and I'm just like ecstatic because it's beautiful out. It's like nice and cool out, but the hot springs are warm.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then she comes over, and she's like very voluptuous woman, and she's like, "Oh, I noticed that you guys have a camera. Are you all like YouTubers?" And we're like, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh, I'm a YouTuber too." Blah blah blah. And she's like, "Yeah, actually, I was gonna ask if you could like come over to this other hot spring with me because there were like a few pools." She's like, "Yeah, I wanted to see if you could help me take some pictures." We were like, "Yeah, I guess." And she was like, "Yeah, and there's like another family there, and I don't want to kick them out, but maybe if you come over, they'll leave." And she's like, "Cause like there's kids, and I'm trying to take like naked pictures." She's like, "Do you think you could help us with that?" And we're like, "Yeah, it doesn't sound like too much of a hassle."
Yeah, we've done that before.
Like, I suppose we could help.
Sure.
So then we very excitedly went over, and for a while we were like talking with this other group that was there, and then finally they left. And then we were talking with her for a while after that, and then we saw this like new group starting to approach. And I was like, maybe we should like do this really quickly because it looks like there might be another person coming here. We don't want to lose our chance. I was trying to like play it off cool.
Sure. Yeah.
But then she just like straight up got out and was like, "Hey, do you all mind if we like do something really quick?" And they were like fine with it. So then like she hands me her phone and like takes everything off. And I'm just like hopping around the pool like, "Okay, yeah."
You're a tiger, baby. Yeah.
And then like Thomas is kind of he's being coy about it and like just kind of standing off in the back.
Right.
Meanwhile, I'm in like my boxer shorts because that's like what I swim in and stuff. It's just like, trying to stay in my boxer shorts and take these pictures.
Trying to stay in.
Yeah, and then God, I hope my mom doesn't watch this podcast.
I hope she's listening to it.
She will be. No, I mean it was a funny story. Like, it wasn't actually. It was more the fact that it was like one of those like boyhood fantasies that you have.
Yeah, yeah.
Something that would like be out of like a teenage movie, It wasn't like I was actually hoping something would happen or whatever.
Right.
It was just the situation was so funny and so like straight out of a movie. And actually in the video you can see I'm like on camera saying like, "Man, I love like hanging out at these beautiful hot springs with some beautiful people." I'm like implying what happened, but not really.
Sure.
But we were just like laughing about it. And
that it just seems so sitcom-esque, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, like amazing.
Like that was like more than the actual thing. It was the situation being so funny that is what made it so special.
So just for the record, Thomas he shyly helped out in the corner?
Well, from what I remember is he was just kind of like standing off in the back and like.
Okay, so you weren't thinking about Thomas during this?
No. Well, I was just like, "Hey man, if you're gonna stand back there, I'm just gonna like do all the picture taking."
Sure. Okay.
I think he also felt like a responsibility to like make sure families weren't approaching while we were doing
Gotcha.
it. So he took one for the team there. And when I see team,
I
just
on
mean
that grenade.
Me. Yeah. And for a while, this picture was on her Instagram, and actually the Adventure Archives Instagram was tagged in it, but then it got deleted. So.
Gotcha.
Actually, so on the note of travel, though, now that the Hawaii vlogs have been finally edited,
several years later. Yeah.
Was it even 4 years or was it 5 years now? Was it 2016 or?
I think my sister. Yeah, 2016. I think is what you said in the intro.
So have you seen all of those, and what are your thoughts?
I saw. Let me see. I did the sub. I saw the one where we went to Diamond Head, and then I don't think I saw the Maui one yet. I need to watch that one. Yeah.
Oh, like the most recent one, yeah.
Yeah. I saw the chicken feet one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember your dad was like really looking forward to watching that.
Yep. Yeah. He enjoyed the thumbnail of me having a chicken foot in my mouth.
Right.
I must say my chopstick skills varied wildly. Tell me, so there's like the wooden chopsticks, right?
Yeah.
And then I can use those below competent, like.
Okay.
But the fancy, I don't know,
like the plastic
ones.
Those are
impossible.
Yeah, because those are like slick.
Mm.
Like, yeah, like the plastic ones are more slippery to hold. They're also kind of heavier, and stuff just slips out of them really easily. Yeah, that's definitely an experience, I think.
How do I get good, Andrew?
You just gotta work on your finger dexterity. Use like a grip.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You gotta.
I don't know. You just gotta eat with chopsticks more.
Good.
Actually, I still remember when I first learned how to use chopsticks. I was in my parents' house. Well, obviously I was a kid, but we were in the dining room and I was eating like a bowl of noodles.
Yeah.
And I just like, I don't know. Eventually I picked it up somehow. But even then, I think I was using them wrong, and eventually I learned how to use them like more correctly. But
Okay, so there's like varying degrees of.
yeah, it's like
Are there
there's-
different styles that?
Actually, there are. Believe
Really?
it or not. Yeah. So
Okay.
there's one where like, what is it? People will hold the bottom one with the bottom three fingers. No. Hold the bottom one with these two fingers, the thumb and the ring finger.
Oh, okay. That's not.
So they'll hold it with like the base of the thumb and the ring finger. They'll like press them together to hold the bottom part.
Yeah.
And the top one they hold like a pencil to move up and down. But then there's a method where people will just hold the bottom one in these three fingers, like the middle finger, ring finger, and thumb.
Yeah, I think that's
And then they'll pinch the top one with their thumb and index finger.
that.
That's how a lot of Americans do it, I feel.
Yeah, I feel like that's the one.
I don't know why. It
That's
must
right.
like come more naturally for people or something, but
I don't know. Huh. So now that now that there's a lull, any plans for the rest of 2020? Any hikes?
that's a good question. I mean, I think we are hoping to do something somewhere. We were looking at like the Upper Peninsula at some point.
Upper Peninsula.
I don't know. I'd like to get out in the winter. Like I might even do some hikes around Ohio in the winter. Hiking that sort of stuff in the summer is awful though. It's like, it's just some of these places are so like, cause they'll clear cut places and then that lets the sun really shine in, and then like a bunch of brushy stuff starts growing up. So then you have sections of the trail where you're like going through really thick brush, and in the summertime, that's really rough. But also like, there's the fear of ticks constantly.
Yep.
But in the winter, it like feels a lot more open and clear. So,
Okay.
didn't you just get back from a hike or something?
Did I?
I could have sworn you like said you were going somewhere or planning on going somewhere. Or...
Oh, this was in the future. I was planning. There's a trail in, I think, California. The John Muir Trail.
JMT. Oh, okay, yeah.
But I am definitely not fit enough. So, phase 1, improve fitness.
Well, okay. Here's the first question: is do you think, like, are you just going to do that whenever you can, or are you waiting for the pandemic to get safer so you can fly out, or what are your what's your plan?
Yeah, definitely the flying there, because I don't trust my car to drive all the way there and all the way back. So yeah, probably future Jesse's problem.
So you are waiting for the stuff to okay. Because I was gonna say I mean Thomas has actually flown a bit.
Oh really?
But he argues that it's safer just because they're like checking everyone's temperature and everyone's wearing a mask. But I still wouldn't feel safe on a plane.
Sure.
But if I were gonna fly, I would wear like goggles in addition to a mask. I think, just to be because like there's a chance it might be airborne and like getting your eyes. You know.
What kind of goggles?
No, I got these sports goggles recently, and
like the kind. What is sports goggles like?
so
I'm trying to
think of like airsoft goggles. Remember when we would? Do you remember?
Oh, okay. So like skiing goggles.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
And I mean, those have like a hole like a ventilation hole, but I figured I can cover that with tape or something. Actually, the reason I got that is because I was like fantasizing about how I could spar safely.
Did you figure it out?
I have like some ideas, yeah, but I still haven't actually done it.
Okay.
I do also have like a pair of like biology goggles, but I don't think.
Now, Andrew, you've been doing a lot of fighting.
Mm-hmm.
How has the pandemic impacted your thirst for blood?
Oh yeah, I thirst every day. No, I mean, for a while it was rough. So like, the association that my school is a part of, like their headquarters are in New York, and the dude who runs that, it's really cool because he learned from Yip Man.
Yeah.
So he learned from Yip Man's last private student. He trained from him privately, and that was after training for like several years in Germany, like 6 hours a day, 5 days a week in a castle.
You gotta be a superhero somehow. Might as well do it in a castle.
Yeah, and then he went to Hong Kong and learned from this dude. So he like he's incredible, but they were able to like put on online classes. So for a long time I was doing that, and then the school here reopened, and what they do is like so, and I mean like I'm pretty close with my instructor at this point, so we were like talking about how to keep things safe, but like we'll keep the windows open so there's airflow. Everyone's wearing masks. I actually wear a like a face shield too.
Okay. Like the kind, like the big plastic kind, like.
Yeah, just like the soft like plastic sheet kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like a sparring thing or anything, but I wish there was a mask like that though.
A welder's mask.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, and then like you have to register so that there's only like a limited amount of people. So that's been quenching that thirst. And like sometimes we'll even do like contact drills, but we're always like spraying down with alcohol and stuff.
Okay, like at the gym, you gotta wipe it down.
Yeah. But yeah, still like those are still more controlled than like outright sparring would be. I feel like if I was gonna spar, I would do it outside and like, yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Huh.
But what were we just talking about before that?
I don't know. So there's like, have you ever heard of Arabian Nights?
Like the movie?
It's a book.
Oh yeah.
It's probably also a movie.
I was thinking of Lawrence of Arabia, I think, but
oh, maybe.
Yeah.
It might be that then. There's this story where there's a king and he kills all of his wives. And
that's a dark turn.
Yeah, I know, it's like so the main character, she starts telling stories to the king because she's the next wife to be, and he only kills them after consecrating the marriage.
Right.
Consecrating, that's probably the wrong word.
Is that the word?
No,
consummating.
There it is. Consecrating, I think it's graves.
I don't know. I forget.
Anyway, this is going really well. Long story short, the king kills each of his wives after he has sex with them. And so the main character, she starts telling him a story. And as soon as the story is about to be over and he's like, okay, now we're going to get it on, it's too late and he has to go to bed. And so she just keeps this up, story after story after story. And sometimes there's stories where a character is in a story and they start telling another story. I kind of feel like that's where we are. I don't know what level we're at right now.
It's like podcast Inception.
Yeah.
Like
that actually would be
that was
cool
actually quite the Inception just now.
Yeah.
I think they call it a frame story.
Oh, is that what the people in the biz call it?
No. Well, a frame story is like a literary term, I think.
Oh,
for
okay.
a story within a story.
A frame story. Shit. Now you used to write stories.
I did. Yeah.
Any stories? Now?
I don't really write, but sometimes I'll like think of ideas, and sometimes I'll jot stuff down in Google Docs just when I'm like, I don't know. I will say though, I would love to create some sort of a video series that is like more scripted.
Cobra Kai.
Yeah. No, I mean Cobra Kai is like one of my favorite shows. Are you watching that?
I am. It's on Netflix now.
Yeah. It's so good. I don't know. I want to do something with martial arts, obviously, because I'm obsessed with that.
Sure.
But just I feel like it's so fun to like think of interesting ideas and to film something that's actually scripted. With documentary footage, it can be fun, but sometimes it's frustrating to edit just because like you're working with like the raw material. Whereas with filming something that's scripted and planned out, like you make sure from the get-go that the shot is exactly how you want it, and it's easier to like string together, I feel like.
Okay, as opposed to creating the story after all the filming.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. What is there like a small way that you could move towards that goal? Like,
well, the pandemic throws a wrench in things. Well, okay, so here's something I will say is the biggest obstacle that I saw for a while, which a quick tangent is it's funny that we are talking about this in this manner because
sure,
we were like a year or two back talking about my desire to start a podcast, and now we're actually doing it.
Look at that progress.
Yeah, it took like that long for me to actually.
See, I laugh, but it's like that though.
Yeah.
It, I don't know. You kind of get in your own head about stuff, or at least I do, and it's like, oh, you can't do X, right?
And then you just
do you have that little guy?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is like I want to make sure I have at least enough pieces in place before I start.
Sure.
But yeah, so with like doing a scripted thing, well, one idea I was thinking now that I've been watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is like, I'll change my inspirations because I'm like, oh man, maybe we should do something that's more set in the real world. That would be a lot easier also. But every time I watch like The Mandalorian, I'm like, God, it would be so fun to design cool costumes and just like go thrifting and scrap a costume together. And I had this idea of like a martial arts series where you have to fight like 10 different really eclectic characters. But that's kind of like how JoJo is. But.
Okay, kind of like Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Just like
but anyway, so
gauntlet.
The big obstacle is like, one, making sure we're writing decent enough dialogue, and two, making sure there's people who can actually act it out decently enough.
Okay, because I think first goal, Mortal Kombat 1, acting. What do you think?
No, yeah, that's the thing is so I was watching Bloodsport. Have you seen that movie?
I have not.
It was my first time watching it, but it's like an 80s or maybe 90s movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Okay.
And the acting in that is the worst acting I've ever seen.
Bar's low, I guess.
Like I was imagining that the director was just like, you're delivering that dialogue a little too naturally. Make it a lot more stiff and robotic.
Okay. So you haven't seen The Room then?
Oh no, I have actually.
Okay.
And actually, sometimes
the acting is worse than that.
Accent kind of reminds me. No, it's not that bad.
Okay.
But also, like, The Room is not. Like, I think Bloodsport was still a movie taken somewhat seriously.
Yeah. Okay. So, you kind of are oscillating between campy versus like serious.
Yeah, and I think it would have to be campy on some level. Like, I think there's no choice.
Okay. I think that there's a lot of charm in that, though, right?
Yeah.
Because you're like, hey, we're not actors.
There's a lot of, like, appeal with, or a lot of 80s nostalgia stuff out there these days.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like a lot of story could also just be told through action.
Okay. Let the fight scenes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be like Naruto where there's like flashbacks and sometimes flashbacks of flashbacks.
I mean, for like an initial project, probably not.
Okay.
But again, this is all just stuff I'm fantasizing about.
Sure. Do you think maybe like really tiny project, like really small, like film one small choreographed fight scene, 15 seconds or whatever?
Yeah. Actually,
I don't know if that's a lot of action or not.
I was thinking it would be cool to do some little skits and videos like that.
Just a motion test, really.
Yeah. Actually, we sort of, I mean, this isn't quite to that level, but like we sort of do that with our Patreon shoutouts on Adventure Archives now. It's kind of like a little creative outlet, but.
So, talk me through that more. I'm not familiar with that part. So.
At the end of our episodes, we started this with the Southwest Road Trip episode, but. So for our $50 and $100 patrons, we'll do like shout outs either to them or like a custom shout out that they want. And then originally it was just us saying the shout out, but we were like, this is boring. And so we decided to add like way more work for ourselves and started doing these skits. And sometimes they're just like general skits, like references to things. Sometimes they're more specific references, but like, actually, speaking of Mortal Kombat, we had a Mortal Kombat one in our most recent one, where it's like the scene from the movie where like Sub-Zero and Scorpion show up. So it's like stuff like that is kind of like an outlet, and I've definitely done a lot of martial arts themed ones. But
Okay.
Yeah.
So what you're telling me, Andrew, is I need to become a $50 patron now. I gotta up my game. So
if you want to, speaking of which,
I can get a shout out.
shout out to Kanal and Zach too, because I just found out both of them are also. Well, I knew Zach I think for a while, but I now recently saw Kanal is on there too.
Kick ass, man.
Our high school friends, yeah.
I wonder what they're up to. I know I last saw Kanal at like Smoothie Planet, maybe in Pal.
Smoothie.
Yeah, he was visiting Pal one time.
Like recent-ishly, or
2 to 3 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen him post here and there on social media, but like, yeah. Isn't it weird that we're like 30 almost?
Ask me in November. Yeah, it's weird because soon you can be like, in my 20s.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but mentally I still feel like a young 20-year-old. Maybe physically less so, but like mentally.
Physically less so. Yeah. I don't know.
You have like a big person job.
Big person job?
Yeah.
I don't even really know what that means, really, because I get what you're like implying, but like I feel like some businesses hire people, like schools babysit children, essentially, for the most part. That's a generalization. I'm not saying teachers don't do anything, but like that's kind of what it is. And I feel like some corporate companies, who shall not be named, it's a babysitting for adults.
I could see that, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think like the fact that people are working from home kind of shows like how a lot of it could be superfluous, you know?
Yeah. Really boring paperwork story. We had a meeting.
Did you get those TPS reports?
Planned for a meeting that we were going to have about another meeting.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, all right. Well, why don't we just have a meeting?
You know why that's necessary, though? Is because in every meeting, it's like, I feel like everyone always wants to get out of a meeting, and so every meeting is like,
me.
okay,
I'm
let's plan to do this at the next one.
Yeah.
At least, yeah, it's like, I almost feel like meetings are like, they're like in Mario Kart when you hit a speed boost, in the sense that, I know that's a stretch, but
no. I'm following this metaphor.
No, in the sense that like nothing actually gets done at the meeting. It's just a boost of motivation to get things done once you're out of the meeting.
Gotcha. So, a perfect example. There's a guy that I respect a lot, and he has a meeting that's Monday and Wednesday, and it is exactly that. It's like, hey, did you do the thing that you said you were going to do? Yes, I did it 15 minutes before this meeting. Right? Like, it's just like a deadline.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like a pep assembly or whatever. What were those called?
Oh, God. Yeah, I think that's it, but they're called, yeah.
How do I not know what that's called?
Assemblies? Just, yeah.
Is it just an assembly? Okay.
Pep? Yeah, I think that's right.
Okay.
Do you remember, like, middle school, they'd have those, and there'd be, like, the guy, and he's, like, a magician or something, and he's like, don't do drugs!
Yeah.
Right? And, I don't know, that probably didn't sound very good audio-wise.
A big spike.
I want to be that guy when I'm older. Like,
Dude.
when I'm 30, you know?
You know, all you like, I feel like it wouldn't, like, I bet I could do something like that now.
Yeah.
Like, hey, kids, I'm a YouTuber, and that's why you should listen to every word I say.
Cool.
And then get paid, like, $2,000 just to speak to middle school.
What would you say? Like, now that you're an old man.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Are you saying, what would I actually genuinely say?
Yeah, you go back to middle school, 6th, 7th grade, 8th grade. What would you say to these kids?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there'd probably be some message in there about caring about other people. If it was like career advice, I don't know. I'm not about to tell people to just like throw caution to the wind, but also like remember that they're not just bound to whatever they learned in school or I don't know.
I feel like it'd be a difficult thing because like a lot of human experiences kind of, at least for me, has been like like, okay, I don't want to mess up, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then you sort of make yourself smaller and smaller and smaller to where you like don't exist anymore.
Mm.
So I don't know like how to like tell people to take care of themselves and to still grow, right?
Yeah. Because it's like, because my thing is whenever I hear people who are like, oh, just do it, like just follow your dreams, abandon everything. Yeah. Because I don't think that necessarily, like, not everyone can be a YouTuber.
Sure.
Right?
Otherwise they would be.
Yeah. And
challenge accepted.
and like at the same time, you also don't want to just give up on that if you know you can do it. Well, actually, some of the best advice I've given, I think, is to be your own best fan, but your harshest critic too. Because I think if you're going to do something like this, you have to really enjoy what you're doing and the stuff you're making. Like, you can't just be making it for someone else.
Okay, you can't like fake it or push it.
Yeah, it's got to be something you really like, but you also can't be delusional about how good or bad it is. And
okay, you got to be realistic. You're like, my voiceover was shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I feel like there's both ends of the spectrum where some people will just pump out stuff because that's what they think people want. But then I think there's also the side of things where people are like, I don't know, where they're not pushing themselves to improve what they're making. And
Okay, they're kind of like in a comfortable coast.
yeah. And because you also want your stuff to stand out. But
So how do you navigate that line between like order, which is like, okay, I know what I'm doing and it's stable, and chaos, which is like, I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but I'm changing?
I don't know, honestly, because I also think that a lot of that has to do with like people's circumstances. Like, I was lucky in the sense that, like, if this didn't go through, it's like I wouldn't be immediately like out on the streets and starving or something, you know?
Sure.
So I think some people just turned around because they saw us. but yeah, I think like honestly, part of it needs to be something addressed at a larger, like not just something that's within people's individual control. But yeah, I don't know. You know what I would say at an assembly, now that I think about it?
Yeah.
I'd probably just do some stuff that's like along the lines of the corny narration we do in Adventure Archive. Like, I would probably...
Okay, sorry. Yeah, yep. Go ahead.
No, like, I would actually probably, like... Because I was actually thinking recently it'd be fun to do... Because, again, I had the travel bug, but it'd be fun to do, like, a traveling roadshow for Adventure Archives.
Okay.
And my thought was, like, we could, like, perform at different, like, local bars, you know, once it's safe again. And then, like, road trip from place to place and turn those into episodes. But we would also have, like, a live show that people could go to.
Okay.
And I was thinking some of the stuff we would talk about, like, part of it could just be, like, telling stories and then, like, the lessons we learned from that. But also it could be, like, live music performances or, like, I don't know, just, like, stuff like this. Just, like, a...
Gotcha.
Live
So it would kind of be like distilling, like, life experiences into narrative kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like maybe philosophical or whatever.
Yeah. Like,
Okay.
the lesson from this story is go to as many natural hot springs as you can.
Yeah. You know.
No, but I mean,
say
like,
yes to stuff sometimes.
like, I think the biggest, like, one of the biggest messages or lessons I always draw is, like, how little we need to be happy.
Okay.
Because it's like when you're out there, you are so grateful to have, like, water and food and warmth. And you kind of realize a lot of the superfluous stuff we have in life is kind of whatever, right? As long as we have those things.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Boom. Drop the mic.
Oh, no. So, all right. So, would you mic drop at your assembly? Would you be like, "Don't do drugs"?
No. You know what's funny is they wouldn't even, like, if they had me in an assembly, because, like, my philosophy on drugs and stuff is, like, try most things twice. Like,
I'm listening.
like, okay, maybe not with drugs specifically, but because with drugs you probably don't need to try most of them. But my philosophy there is like with alcohol, for example. If you're a high schooler, I never got drunk in high school or anything like that.
Same.
But I also, like, don't think it's the end of the world if you're a high schooler and you like have that experience and you learn from it. There's things that I would never try, hence like the try most things, you know. You don't need to try everything.
Sure.
But also the reason is try things twice is because you don't know if your first experience is bad or what. Like if you had a bad experience, you should give it another go. Again, we're talking about like alcohol and not meth or something.
Thank you for that clarification.
Don't
Andrew.
try meth ever.
But if you do, you have to do it twice. That's what you're saying.
yeah, it's like once you do it once, you're locked in.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think the thing is like in high school or going into college, I totally thought I would be against partying and drinking and I was never like a huge partier, but I think opening myself up to that experience helped me like learn things in life and helped me develop as a person. But
for me, I kind of feel like with drinking, I was like, nah, I don't want to do it, right? But like you said, like that opening up yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
There was kind of, I don't know. Do you ever kind of like, haha, I have the self-control not to, right? But which is actually the fear of I will lose control, right?
There was so much of that stuff in like middle and high school because I think when it came to certain things, there was like almost an aspect of like jealousy. And so a need to elevate yourself for not participating in those things.
Look at how high my horse is.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, it's like partying, for example. Like, on the one hand, I never really had a desire to go party, but I think there's still a part of you that's like, why am I not being invited to this dumb party? I
don't want to go, but why don't you invite me?
Yeah. It's like the classic thing where like someone will message someone and get rejected, and they'll be like, I didn't even want to be with you. You know what?
I chose this.
Yeah.
This is my choice.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Huh. What were we talking about?
Well, you were saying it was like kind of an element of fear or something. Fear of like trying it. Like alcohol and.
Oh, well, yeah. So like, I don't know if you've had this experience, but like, so do you ever kind of see other people and you're like, ooh, that person lost control, right? Like they lose their anger, they overindulge in something. And then you're like, I don't know if I would be able to resist that. You know?
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, if you did like get angry or you did drink too much, would you ever be able to stop? I think that's like the kind of aspect to that fear that was kind of like tied up in there. You know, like that, not necessarily that you're strong enough to overcome it, but that you're weak enough to fail, you know?
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And so because of that fear, you tell yourself that you are strong enough to resist
Yeah.
it.
Which is super stupid, by the way. Just pointing it out there. I'm like, oh, how self-serving. Like,
yeah.
You're just like, haha, look at how good I am.
Well, and I feel like sometimes that gets dangerous in the sense that people use it as a narrative to like justify not worrying about other people suffering, you know?
Yeah.
If we see like an alcoholic or a drug addict, then we think, oh, that's their own fault because I can avoid it. It's like, well, you haven't even done it.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's some quote like faith not tested is not faith or something like that. This is probably butchered, but it's approximately that.
Yeah, no, that's a good, yeah. I don't know. Have you had that in any personal experience that you want to talk about?
I guess for me, it's kind of like, it's more like with anger, right? So, I guess I've always sort of tried to avoid that emotion because I feel like it's not very productive. But it's sort of like in squashing it and removing it from the equation, you don't know what it would be like to actually be angry.
Yeah.
So you don't actually know when you are. I don't know if you have, what's your like experience with anger like?
Yeah, you know, I feel like I can relate on some level because like I feel like in general I tend to be a pretty chill dude. I don't think I necessarily suppress anger. I think the most times I felt angry were usually like, as a teenager, angsty teenager, or like getting in arguments with my parents, maybe. Usually, like stuff that my friends do doesn't bother me as much. But I think recently I have had some feelings that like are probably partially driven by like insecurities and stuff. Yeah, I don't know though. I don't know. Go on though.
I don't know. I'm just thinking about it a lot because I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, shouldn't you get angrier? Shouldn't you feel things about things?
There's a Seinfeld scene like that where Seinfeld is like dating I think a therapist actually or something. And she's like, how come you never get angry? And then she keeps like challenging him to, and then eventually he actually does. And then at one point he like starts crying. He's like, what is the salty discharge? But yeah, I don't know. Do you think it's like, do you think you repress anger, or do you think it just doesn't, you don't feel angry that often?
I used to think I didn't feel it. I used to think it was like, oh, I just don't get angry. But I think now it's more, I do feel anger, but I sort of skip the part where you figure out what you're angry about. And you just sort of, boop, put a shit somewhere else.
Do you think you know on some level what it is, and you just don't know like the root of it, or do you think it's because like sometimes I get angry about surface level things, but there's like a deeper root to that?
Right. Yeah. You're like, I'm angry about you eating the last thing, and it's actually, I don't feel comfortable in it. Yeah.
Why'd you eat my pasta? It's not about the pasta. That's a reference that only some people get.
I do not get that reference.
Yeah, it's from a reality show, which I don't watch, but Marisa watches it, and so I have osmosis to a lot of that. But anyway.
So have I recently, because I have some surprises for her in D&D.
Oh, right. Yeah. She always,
Going to be some Jersey Shore. What's that other one called? The
Vanderpump Rules.
Vanderpump Rules.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Making space for that. What were we talking about?
So, like, the deeper root cause of...
Yeah, I don't know. Like as you think about it more, you sort of do. But then you sort of... I don't know if you ever have the problem of perspective taking where you're like, oh, I wonder how person X feels, person Y feels, but you never know how you feel. Do you have that at all? Or is it different for you?
I don't know if I do. I don't know. Well, like, is it kind of where you, like, you worry too much about what other people are thinking versus how you're thinking, or is it not quite that?
It's more like when you, to like, sort of, when there's tension, right, and some possible conflict, you're like, okay, what is the other person thinking about? And then not really balancing that back out with, okay, and then what is my own perspective? So you, with perspective taking, you can kind of like lose yourself in other people's opinions. Do you have that at all? Or is that something different?
Well, I think I've had experiences where I worry too much about what other people are thinking about me, but that's more like self-consciousness, I feel like.
Oh, okay.
But are you like, do you think that then results in like anger later or something?
I think so, in that it's like anger that I'm like, oh, I didn't have a ready opinion. Like it's like that you almost don't exist, kind of. It's all very like
you feel like you're being dismissed at that moment.
More that like you dismiss yourself.
Oh, okay.
You're like, oh, it makes things small. So it's not a problem. But then it's like, that's not balanced over time.
Right.
So I don't know. Shit to figure out.
You know, I will say this isn't quite the same, but there are moments where I will do like some zany stuff, and I feel like those are similar in the sense that like those are these outbursts where it's almost like an expression of my autonomy, like a need to remind myself that I have autonomy. And so some examples are like, God, what was it? Oh yeah, so I was like staying over at a friend's. No. So basically, like, it was like nighttime, and Marisa was like going to bed early or something. And then I think some friends wanted to like go out drinking. I don't know. I forget what the circumstances, but eventually I was just like, screw it. I'm because maybe it was a day where I like hadn't done a lot or something. But I was like, no, I need to like just go out and do this thing, and it doesn't matter what someone else is doing because I'm my own person. So I like went out late at night to hang out. That's one example. But another was I think I was like sick. This was pre-Covo, but I had like a fever and then was like couch ridden, and I was so frustrated not being able to do much that every time I like started feeling better, I would just have this like energetic outburst where I started like in the middle of the night one time I just got up and started like punching my punching bag and like doing push-ups and pull-ups.
Gotcha.
Much to the chagrin of the person staying with me. But it was just like this need to show the world and the universe that like I am still in control on some level. Which I think is kind of like why a lot of people find like characters like Walter White in Breaking Bad appealing, even though he's like a villain.
Okay.
Is because there's like an element of him taking control of a life that he felt he didn't have control over, you know?
So in these kind of like episodes where you feel like a strong urge to exert autonomy, right? How long does that sort of last? Like that feeling of agency?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think, well, I feel like having done the thing makes me feel better about myself, actually. If it's like something physical, like exercise or whatever, or like martial arts, I think sometimes that like helps cool things off. In the case where I went out, I think it was just like good to know that I was able to like be in control of my own life in some respect. I don't know.
Huh. Because, yeah, I mean, there's an element of agency and autonomy there built into that where it's like everybody seems to have their own agency and like know what they want and what they don't want, and kind of being more diffuse, like spread out in like considering other people's perspectives kind of makes it less so like really easy to sort of drift along. You're like,
yeah, like on autopilot almost.
Yeah. And so then your schedule is kind of filled up with all these other people's agendas.
Yeah.
And when you, I guess in moments when I would have episodes of like what I would consider strong autonomy urges where it's like, it's kind of like it fades very rapidly where it's like, now I'm back to forgetting that I had
the feeling. You mean the urge to do the thing, or the feeling of autonomy afterwards fades? I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's more like the drive to like continually pursue X.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, I mean, because then you go back to your routines and stuff.
Yeah, and then it's just like maybe it doesn't matter too much.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any avoiding that. I feel like some of the more positive examples of that I've had are when I get like, because like I'm a messy person, as you know. I remember you helping me clean my dorm room a couple times.
Yeah.
Which I didn't ask you to do. You're just a good person.
I mean, it was one of those things where I'm like, there's too many apple cores. Is that a pine cone? Yeah.
But yeah, so there's moments where, because clutter will make you feel really out of control. And so I have, like before this camping trip actually, that I was on, I had this urge to just like clean the office that I work in. So I just like middle of the night, I had to get up like in 6 hours or something. I just started like picking up all this clutter. And so I think that's maybe one way to have it last is even if you aren't going to keep doing like those acts of autonomy or whatever, there's at least a lasting result from that, which can help you along. And I mean, I don't even know that it would be healthy to always have to just like constantly be living like that, you know?
Because I guess you could go the other way where you're super rigid and you're like, no, all the time.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Or where you're just like getting exhausted doing crazy things.
Sure.
You know what it's like is like a mini midlife crisis.
Yeah. Quarter life crisis.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know.
We'll live to be 120.
I mean, I think on some level we just have to like remember that we're living life. Yeah.
So that's what you would say at your
yeah. And then I would drop the mic. Don't do drugs.
especially meth.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, that seems like a good spot to end it at.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was like weirdly perfect ending point.
Crescendo, mob drop, mic drop.
Yeah, we should do this again though. This is good.
Sure. Yeah, it was pretty cathartic.
Yeah.
That'll be $15.
I thought I was the therapist.
Shit. Okay. Yeah. Here we go.
All right. Yeah. Unless you have other thoughts, we can end it.
Oh, I mean, I have tons of other thoughts, but it's getting dark.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
don't know if
We'll save it for the next time then.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Thank you everybody for
Therapy
listening
corner.
into this podcast and watching. Remember to like and subscribe and hit the bell and whatnot. But no, seriously, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode of my unnamed podcast. Maybe that's what I should name it.
Andrew's Unnamed Podcast.
Yeah, but maybe that's just lame and unoriginal.
I don't know. Untitled.
I feel like there's like 5 podcasts already called Untitled Podcasts.
Probably, yeah.
I feel like people who start podcasts are like snarky and think they're really clever and they'll name it that.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
While drinking their IPAs and
twirling their hipster mustaches.
Hold on, before we close that, did I tell you the IPA story?
No, that does not ring a bell.
Okay, let me just tell this real quick. So,
Sure.
We went to Hawaii in December, which is also what inspired me to edit those vlogs. And at one point, we're drinking beers, and I get a lager, and I joke that like I got a lager because I was going to say because IPAs are trash, but for some reason how it came out was because people who drink IPAs are trash people, which is a joke. It's obviously a joke.
Thrown.
But we actually had a viewer get like really upset about that. And if you're listening, I hope there's no hard feelings, but they canceled their like Patreon subscription.
Wow.
And they're like, I can't believe you said this. Like, I'm a bourbon drinker, but I do enjoy IPAs. And I was like, you should not trust anything I say because I drink like Clamato juice and like enjoy it.
What is Clamato juice?
It's clam and tomato juice.
And you enjoy it.
Well, I drink micheladas, which are that plus beer. And I said that as if it made it more appealing, which it doesn't. But anyway,
your judgment is in question.
Yeah, exactly. But it was just funny because this is like this person got really upset, and I was like, I'm clearly joking. And also, type of beer doesn't have to be your personality. But anyway.
Well, no, I mean that is kind of interesting because there's sort of like two things I want to talk about here as the sun fades into darkness. There's kind of like there's a strong undercurrent of like kid gloves or like kind of like that political correctness where you kind of have to everything's sanitized and everything's proper, right? Only positive thinking. What you say there, right, is an opinion. It is your opinion that people that drink IPAs are trash people.
Which is not even my opinion.
And it also might be a joke.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I think what's interesting is how tightly bound people's identities get to things. And then they're like, that is an attack against me.
And one great irony of it is like a lot of times the people who will complain about people being overly sensitive are the most sensitive people.
Uh-oh.
Well,
uh-oh.
No. I mean,
uh-oh.
Well, like look at how people reacted to like there being a woman as the lead for Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just to me, I did not even blink an eye at that. It's like, who cares? But the irony is they were complaining about that because they were saying that was a capitulation to people who are sensitive. But it's like, if you were truly not sensitive, why would you care? But anyway, but then again, I'm also ranting about the IPA thing, but it's also just fun. I don't know. I think self-awareness is the key here.
Okay.
Like, I don't think people would talk about anything if we weren't allowed to like have stupid overreactions to stuff.
Whoa, what?
But I think it's about being self-aware. But I don't know.
Okay. I don't know, because it kind of is tied in with freedom of speech, because there's kind of like those people that are like freedom of speech, and then they like it because it lets them spew out stuff.
Yeah.
But then there's also the like, you don't need to maybe carelessly offend other people.
Yeah, it's all a balance, I feel like, you know?
But there's this example, I forget where it was from. It's a book I read one time. This guy is giving some lecture, and he says, you know, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. That way you'd listen more.
Yeah, you know what I think about
And there's a guy in the audience that gets really upset and goes to that guy's boss and is trying to get him fired. And
wait, because he said you have 2 ears and 1 mouth?
Yeah, and he's like, my son does not have 2 ears. He was born without ears.
Wait, is this a real thing or a parable?
It's lost to time.
Okay.
So possibly it's a parable.
Okay.
Possibly it's from one of the books I read. And possibly it's a parable in a book I read. But like the gist was, the guy was like, should I apologize or not? Because he's like, I don't feel like I should. Because clearly I was not talking about every single person, right?
Yeah.
Because that is really exhaustive to speak that way.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know. There's also like the swallow your pride and just apologize. Clearly that guy needs attention or something.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of disingenuous too. I don't know. What thoughts?
No, yeah, I mean, I think like
possibly fake story.
Well, it's like people will not raise a issue just because, like, most likely if something is being raised by a lot of people, there's a real underlying problem there. At the same time, I don't think the answer is to just like completely shut down someone who might have said something they didn't realize was insensitive, right? That's not how people grow or learn. It's like if a kid drew on the walls with a marker and you like punch them in the face, they're not going to learn from that. So I think it's
reinforcement. Bam.
So yeah, I do think there's an element of like witch hunt stuff when it comes to that.
Okay.
At the same time, I also think like people will respond to that witch hunty aspect of it and then dismiss anything altogether as if nothing they say could ever be somewhat, you know, something they should think about. Because like there are real so I was reading about like Bruce Lee's autobiography like last year.
Okay.
And he had to deal with like a lot of racism in Hollywood, and like there was not really any like real representation of Asian men that was genuine. Like usually it was like a white dude in makeup like being like a servant with a thick fake accent or something, right?
Okay.
And then he like came into Hollywood and like completely changed how people think about that. But since then, I don't think there's been like representation like that. And so I do think it's a real issue that like, okay, like why don't we have more Asian men who are like fuller characters and show different sides of humanity? At the same time, I'm also not gonna like say that we should crucify Disney or something because they didn't have an Asian character or whatever. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, or if like someone makes like a joke about an Asian accent, like my reaction to that is like, yeah, you know, like that's not cool, but also I'm not gonna like throw you to the dogs or whatever, or the lions, whatever the saying is.
To the wolves.
Yeah, that's
lions
the one.
Some sort of creature.
It's like, I mean, if someone's an outright Nazi, then like, yeah, I don't think that's very excusable.
Okay.
But it's like, it's like people, I think the assumption that anyone who makes any sort of mistake is like completely vicious is also not a great place to. If we want to be listened to, we also have to listen, and that goes for both sides because I feel like, yeah.
So
your issue.
just to be clear, you are sorry that you think people that like IPAs are trash.
No.
Would you like to make an amendment?
It's like the wait. How far are you in Cobra Kai?
Episode 2.
What? Okay.
Yeah.
Episode 2.
Yep.
Oh, okay, never mind then.
Yeah, I just started watching.
Well, there's a scene where, without trying to spoil too much, there's a scene where Johnny is kind of regretting something he said, and he's like, "I've done this and I've done this, and for that, I don't apologize." It's like, yeah.
Hey, it's also fair too, right? Like, again, it's an opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some opinions are probably worse than others.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is like, when has anyone who's drunk an IPA been like, when has anyone faced problems because they drank IPAs? You know what I mean? Like, being an IPA drinker does not actually cause real problems. Like besides just having to endure a bitter, disgusting drink.
Sure.
Being an IPA drinker is not something that will like cause you obstacles in life, in the same way that like I don't know, whatever, being Bruce Lee in the '60s in Hollywood would.
Okay, so you're saying there's different categories and subcategories of things that should be considered.
Yeah, I'm just saying like we have to like think of like prioritize and think of like the proportions of things. It's like some people are facing actual problems and then other people not really.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Well, okay, so
like IPA drinkers don't have to like fight for voting rights is what I'm kind of saying,
Well, yeah, I mean as a block it's pretty easy to get in and out of the IPA group.
Yeah.
By the way, what time is it? I don't know what time.
That's a good question. We can wrap it up, but
It is. Oh shit. Yeah, it's like 7:40.
Oh, that's actually less late than I thought it would be. That's good.
I think the park closes at 9.
Yeah. Well, do you have any final thoughts?
This
was a nice little podcast encore.
I guess. Yeah. I don't know how thought-provoking it was because I feel like I didn't say anything. I was like, it's this, but it's also this. That's kind of how things are, though.
Yeah.
There you go.
We can get into it next time.
Sure. Yeah. Unnamed Andrew podcast.
Yeah. No one. Please don't leave controversial comments, man.
Or do.
Actually, so far, it's been pretty good because like people who are watching my channel are I feel like they know what I'm about
And just for clarity, Andrew, what are you about?
Try most things twice.
Except meth.
Okay. All right. Thank you guys for listening to this podcast. This is the real ending now. Remember to like and subscribe, and have a great night.
Cheers. What the fuck did we talk about?